Many Magic the Gathering players ask the question, is zombies still a viable tribe in Standard? Yes, of course. Oh, hi! Didn't see you there. I'm just catching up on my wizarding here. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Get it? I'm the professor for Halloween. Anyway, what's up, my wizards? It's Dev from SBMTG on the YouTube.com. We like magic. It's Halloween, my favorite holiday, and that means I got a spooky deck for you today. We're going to talk about $20 zombies. It exists. Well, just a few months ago, of course, Zombies was one of the best decks in Standard, and it was like $400 or so. And yeah, it lost some of its best pieces because at rotation it was kind of DOA. But of course, Zombies can never quite rest in peace. So can we resurrect Zombos from the dead? Lots of zombie puns there, sorry about that. Turns out, I think we actually can. This deck may only be $20, but it actually pulls off a fair amount of wins because zombie synergy is still kind of strong with some of the pieces that we have. So let me show this to you. Well, there's really only one zombie in the deck that still actually sees any standard play at all, so let's start off strong with it. We're going to play 4 copies of Dread Wanderer in the deck. Well, it might be just a little guy, but Dread Wanderer is truly terrifying for opposing control decks. Really, any creature that's resilient like this and can keep coming at him is something they really don't want to see. And control is pretty popular in the format right now, and that makes Dread Wanderer a really strong card. I don't see why we wouldn't play 4. Again, it's arguably the best zombie in the deck because it's the only one people are still playing nowadays, but that doesn't mean the rest of our zombie squad isn't awesome. But that's just because people don't realize how awesome our other zombies are yet, We gotta play to our strengths. And that used to be simple, Crypt Breaker let us draw cards and made more zombies for us. Diregraph Colossus would make a game just snowball out of control. It would win stalemates and stuff, and we don't have the ability to do that anymore. But we still do have Dread Wanderer, which does what zombies do best. It comes back from the dead. And we've got a new, weird, built-in ability on some of these white zombies that zombies has never had before. And that's tapping creatures down, which I actually think is really cool. I guess the flavor of that is that they're so scary that, people are too fearful to block them. They're just like, oh, So I like that idea. So with that in mind, we're going to play 3 copies of Fanbearer and 4 copies of Binding Mummy. Well, Fanbearer actually had a little bit of a reputation for being one of those rare one-drop creatures that's good and limited, and I think it makes the jump to constructed kind of well for a lot of reasons, This is one of those rare one-drops that you can get use out of, all the way into turn 5, 6, 7, whatever, It's a good mana sink. Anytime you can use your one-drop past turn 3 or 4, that's a pretty decent one-drop, and Fanbearer can take their best attacker out of the fight, it can take their best blocker out of the fight so you can get through. We got a zombie in the deck that can give all of our zombies menace. That's pretty good with a Fanbearer, in combination with a Fanbearer. They're never going to block your dudes, Fanbearer is actually a really decent one-drop in practice and not just in theory. I've liked it. Same thing with Binding Mummy, We won't always get a zombie every turn, but there are going to be turns. Like if we get a Binding Mummy on turn 3. There are going to be turns where we play a couple of zombies on turn 4, turn 5. And at that point, you're tapping down a couple of dudes and getting through pretty easily. So Binding Mummy, even on turns where it only taps down one creature, can be surprisingly relevant. Especially in combination with a Fanbearer, Play a zombie, tap down one of their dudes, use Fanbearer to tap down another one of their guys, and just get through. The combination of these two guys is actually enough to win you games sometimes. They look unassuming, but they do their jobs really well. We're going to play 4 copies of Wayward Servant Primo Zombino right here, man. Everything Wayward Servant does is awesome. Literally half of the deck, just about 30 cards of the deck, is zombies. So you can easily get 5, 6 or more drains off of this thing. And once you have 2 of them on the battlefield, things get pretty grisly pretty quick, man. You can deal that last few points of damage that you need. This is actually decent reach sometimes in the late game and makes all of your zombies even better top decks than they normally would be. And that little bit of life, especially if you can get it down early, can really keep you in the game so you can get things set up. So Wayward Servant, man, another one of the best zombies in the deck, but there's a lot of those. I'm about to show you another one. For instance, Plague Belcher. We're going to play all 4 of this because this card is super hot, believe you me. We don't have Diregraph Colossus anymore, and this is my favorite pick to take its place. It's got built-in menace, which makes it really good with Fanbearer and Binding Mummy and stuff. So that's cool right there. And you get a bunch of long game value out of it, If your opponents are going to spot remove your dudes or even sweep you. Plague Belcher's good in that situation too, but even against like aggro and mid-range where you lose, you're in a war of attrition, you lose creatures in combat every now and again, this, just like Wayward Servant, can deal like 4 or 5 damage or more for you over the course of the game. That again is really good reach. Even if you just get in the early turns for a little bit of combat damage, put them at 12, 13, 14, then stuff like Wayward Servant and Plague Belcher can really help you make up the difference, especially if you get multiples. And also, Plague Belcher's really good with Dread Wanderer, just put the -1/-1 counters on the Wanderer, keep your huge, stupid 5-power guy that you only paid 3 mana for, and then you just get your Dread Wanderer back whenever you want to. So, just Plague Belcher is so crazy in this deck, and is a good combo with Dread Wanderer because you can just keep sending Wanderer to the graveyard and getting a drain off of him too. There's that to consider as well. So, just Plague Belcher is so awesome in this deck. Even without the long-term value, it's a 3-mana, 5-power dude. We've actually got 2 of those in zombies. We're going to play a couple of copies of Ovid Eternal. Another 3-mana, 5-power guy, With Plague Belcher, though, we can control the power of our own creature a little more easily. This one, our opponent gets to control the power of our own creature. I don't know how much I like that, but it's still a really fine pick against a lot of decks, especially any aggro builds. This is a great card in the early game to outclass their guys. They're going to run out of cards relatively fast. They're not going to be able to play a whole bunch of spells to manipulate the power of Ovid Eternal. And if they do decide, we can get it down to 2/2 or 3/3 by casting spells and then block it and kill it, they still have to lose a little bit of life to do that. 3, as a matter of fact. So I like a lot about Ovid Eternal. I'm just going to play a pair here. I'm not going to go too far and play 4 copies or anything. I think 2 is enough because I don't want to go overboard on the 3 drops, and there's one that we absolutely have to play. And that's Lord of the Accursed. We have to play all 4 copies of this because this is the other best zombie in the deck. And aside from Dread Wanderer, this is kind of one of the only zombies that's still around from the old days of zombies before rotation. It was in that deck and it's in this deck, It's one of a couple of different Anthem effects that we have, and we have a fair amount of zombies low on the curve that the Anthem effect will really help out as early as turn 3. And that giving all your zombies menace is just unbelievable, especially in a deck that's designed in some ways to tap down opposing creatures. We're going to play 4 whole copies of Lilianas Mastery in the deck. This is obviously the sort of tip-top of our curve, but wouldn't be caught dead not playing this. Is that a zombie joke? Maybe. Wouldn't be caught undead not playing this. That's such a dad joke. Sorry about that. But in any case, we got to play Liliana's Mastery. This is another Anthem effect, which is super sweet, when you can stack it on top of Lord of the Accursed, and all your zombies are relatively big at that point, and it puts 6 power on the battlefield by itself. But usually by the time you play it, it'll represent like 9 or 10 power for your 5-mana investment, and that's a really good deal. Now, the only non-zombie stuff in the deck is the removal that we're playing, which is 4 copies of Walk the Plank and 2 copies of Ixalan's Binding. Now, you could play the 4 copies of Fatal Push if you had them or if you had the money to do that, but a playset of Fatal Pushes is very close to twice what this deck costs, so I really didn't want to ruin everything by throwing Fatal Push in there. And if you had them, play them, but Walk the Plank is still really, really acceptable removal that takes care of like 90% of the creatures in the format. And instead of Ixalan's Binding, you could play Cast Out, but me and a lot of other players, I am not the only one saying this, have had a lot of success with Ixalan's Binding lately. This card has been super hot. It locks down Hazaret and stops them from ever playing a Hazaret because their deck can't deal with an enchantment. Same thing with Blue-Black Control. You resolve this against a Scarab God, they can't deal with an enchantment on the battlefield. They literally have no actual way of removing it, so they can never ever play Scarab God again. Ditto Torrential Gearhulk, Just a lot of stuff that this works on is an amazing answer to, and forces them to, scoop some of the time. So, I've really, really liked Ixalan's Binding. Yeah, it doesn't have flash, can't draw your card, blah, blah, but at the same time, it just completely locks entire decks out of winning games. So, I think it's worth a couple of copies. And here are your lands, right here. Yes, Forsaken Sanctuary is in Standard. I got this question last time I used this card. It is a real thing. It's in Amonkhet. Just look it up. There's a Google on your phone. But anyway, it is legal to play in Standard right now. And obviously, we're going to play the Ifnir Deadlands. And I shouldn't have to tell you this, but if you have Concealed Courtyards, definitely play those. But this is the best we can do on a budget, and it's workable. Here's our super simple sideboard right here, and it's relatively budget, but it still has a lot of good pieces in it. Starting with Duress, this is one of the better sideboard cards in the whole format right now against the control match. Need that. Supernatural Stamina will come in again against decks with a lot of removal like control. I think this card could actually fit into the main deck if we had the room for it. I'm interested in finding the room for it because I really like Supernatural Stamina. It's been called the Black Blossoming Defense, and it plays as such, and it's decent with Plague Belcher in this deck. You know, kill something with Plague Belcher, comes right back with Supernatural Stamina. So I like that combo too. Forsake the Worldly's in there because we don't want to get caught not being able to deal with the Resolved Artifact or Enchantment. We don't want to be the deck that has that problem. And Forsake the Worldly's pretty good as sort of a catch-all there. Ixalan's Binding comes in against decks where we know we're going to have to answer Hazoret of the Scarab God, so that'll come in and make a play set. And then Key to the City looks a little bit weird, but it's really, really good with Ovid Eternal, and it's decent in the mid-range matchups. You know, it helps us draw cards, stay ahead in the card advantage race, get our creatures through on like boards where our opponent has a large board. And again, really awesome with Ovid Eternal specifically. Here are your power rankings right here, and I definitely forgot to put my glasses on back on after that last take, and I'm just now realizing, but I'm rolling with it, I don't care. Your power rankings equal up to 60, which is a darn good deal for your $20 investment. I think that helps to prove a little bit that Zombies is not actually that bad in this format. It's no shadow of its former self. It is not at all what it used to be just a few months ago, but it can still win some games for you, and it did so for me in testing. You know, this deck can pull off like weird wins sometimes out of nowhere, and it's just got a fair amount of relatively powerful cards in it. You know, again, we've got all the Anthem effects. We've got a bunch of stuff that helps our opponent or makes our opponent like never be able to block. You know, Dread Wanderer keeps coming back against control. Plague Belcher and Ovid Eternal are both 3 mana 5 power guys. That's a lot of power. So, like, this deck is actually a lot better than I would imagine a lot of people will give you credit for. So, take it up to F&M and win some packs because it can do that for you. But I'm tapped out for now. Make sure you let me know how you feel about this one down there in the comments section. If I didn't play anything that I really should have, like maybe there's a super buffo crazy zombie that I just like don't have any knowledge of. That occasionally happens. So let me know if I miss anything down there in the comments. And if you decide to play this deck, as always, let me know how you did with it, because honestly, I was a little surprised by how well this deck performed occasionally. So let me know how you did with it. I'm always interested in that too. And by the way, if you both love MTG and have been living under a rock and you somehow don't know what I meant by I'm the professor for Halloween, then what are you doing? Go check out Tolarian Community College here on YouTube. I'll leave a link in the description for you. The professor is like easily one of the nicest people I've ever talked to in my entire life, and he's very dedicated to his YouTube channel. He's really good for newer and returning players on a budget. He's very good at guiding you in how to spend your money the most effectively. He's very good at product reviews. That's probably what he's most known for, but he also does like deck techs and product openings like the booster box game. That's always fun. He debates other MTG personalities on like hot button MTG issues. There's a lot of really good content that's really well thought out and well produced on the professor's channel. So if you somehow haven't heard of him, then go check him out. I'll leave a link in the description for you. You deserve to know the professor. But that's all for this one. Remember, if you want to see this deck all listed out in one place so you don't have to watch the video again, you could. It was a fun one. I enjoyed it, and I hope you did. But if you just want to see it all in one place on one web page, just click the very first link in the description. That'll take you to my buddies at TCG Player. They help me bring you content. And just clicking the link helps the channel out. So do that for me. That'd be awesome. And you can see the deck in one place, and everyone will be happy, literally. So do that for me. And you can like the video if you like the video. Follow me over on Twitter at SBMTGDev, or you can support me on Patreon. If you want, you can throw me $1 of your hard-earned money at patreon.com/SBMTG. But pretty sure that's all I got for now, man. Happy Halloween, and I will catch you cats later. Thanks for watching, my wizards.